Hello, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome into Wednesday's version of the DFS Minute brought to you by the one, the only DFSArmy.com, your one-stop shop for all things daily fantasy sports, PGA, MMA, NBA. It doesn't matter. We have everything covered, tools, content, coaching for one single price. We don't outsource our tools. We keep everything in-house. That keeps your costs down by keeping us consolidated. And I personally think we're the best value in the industry, which is why I work here. That said, let's dive in. DFS Minute is sort of quick hitting. Today's going to maybe be a little bit longer, so I apologize for that just because I know where I'm going with this and I know it's going to take some time. I want to run through a DFS process for you, an NBA process. It is my weakest NBA sport. I'm not necessarily a slouch in it. Been plenty profitable over the past couple of weeks, driven a couple of lineups deep into large field MME type tournaments. I'm making about 50 lineups a day and am tracking those results because I want to compare MMEing double ups and quintuple ups versus MMEing big tournaments as well. And so far, so good. I'll show you tracking results at another day, but I wanted to at least show you the kind of process that I'm doing as I'm starting to hone back in on NBA a little bit, talking to some of the coaches, learning from some of those guys and what we're doing. And I just added another piece today that I think is going to make a lot of sense because I just crossed a couple of names off of my list. The first place that I start, I open up Domination Station Optimizer here at DFS Army, and I notice the defaults. And the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to click this down to about 18, 19 points. I actually like to run 18.9 because it gets me the 19.0s. I mean, 19.0, 19.1, big deal. But at least it gets me a round number, something, I don't know. It's a weird thing of mine, call me crazy. But I don't mess with anything else over here. I want to make about 50 lineups. I want to use tournament mode personally because tournament mode actually balances out your exposures a little bit better than optimal mode does. If I was only making a couple of 2-3 lineups, I'd use optimal mode. Once I go over about 20 lineups, I start using tournament mode. Uniques, we've got a large slate here. You can run out 3 uniques, you can run out 2 uniques, whatever you want to do. The first thing I'm typically going to do, though, is I'm going to run at least 4 uniques, and I'll kick down to server mode. And I won't use any randomization. And the reason that I want to do this is I want to see who the optimizer likes. I'm also going to scroll down here and we're going to talk a little bit of ownership as we go. So while that's cranking, I move off and I do some other research. I go to the research station and I like to come all the way over here and start filtering stuff out on a big slate like this. I'm going to take the consistency numbers or the GPP numbers and I'm going to sort them by descending order. Why? I want to know who's liable to hit 6x. Okay? I'm going to take these guys and I'm actually going to filter them out by a number. This is just something that I've developed. I don't tend to look at guys much over 20%. So 20% is 0.20, which means I want 0.199 or higher because it will take the 199s and throw them out. It'll take the 20s and put them in. So I will kill that number, and then anybody under a 20% chance to hit 6x is toast. They're all gone. Okay? Now I'm going to scroll back over this way, and I'm going to pick up a couple of other numbers. Who's hot or not? I like seeing guys in their 3 versus 10 game average. I like seeing them be positive. Why? Because I want to see them on a hot streak, not a cold streak. So I want it greater than 0. And I'm going to filter that off. It's only going to show me guys whose 3 game fantasy points scores are higher than their 10 game average. It's kind of a rolling average. If you've ever seen me use the little graph, I wish I had called it up ahead of time, but I didn't. I like using, to me, when the short sample crosses the big sample, so in this case 3 games crosses the 10 games on the high side going up, it becomes a buy signal for me because the guy's running hot compared to his larger sample, his more stable sample, and I get a short-term spike out of the guy. Pricing can't keep up that quickly, so it's automatically going to make him underpriced if he just continues that. There's no guarantee he's going to continue that hot streak. Could have been a 1-game outlier, but at least it starts telling me that over a 3-game sample that he's held it for a couple of games, okay? And then when he dips back below that 10-game average, I sell because now he's not performing to the price. The price is lagging, so the price is still coming up while his performance is going down, which quickly turns him into an overpriced player, if that makes sense to you. Now I'm going to scroll over here. Now that that's positive, I'm running a couple of filters is really all I'm doing. And I want minutes. I want players that are actually playing in the damn games. So let's go say 24, 25, 26 minutes or more. I don't mind if he's got, 24, 25 minutes, but for this purpose, what I'm trying to do is I'm cutting out all of my turds the best that I can. These are the kinds of guys that I'm going to start watching for tonight. To who, if the projections don't like them, who am I going to spike anyway? Who am I going to force into my lineups anyway? Because if I'm playing tournaments and I want to get different, the chalk is going to all be going in the same direction for the most part. NBA is a very precise sport. Everyone herds together on the same projections and the same players, and ownership usually shows it. So I'm going to try to find some of these lower owned guys. And I find them with hot streaks, with upside, a little bit of risk, and then with guys that are, hopefully getting minutes, because this keeps me kind of in that upper echelon of guys that are actually going to draw the start. The rest of the guys, if the optimizer picks a role player at 24 minutes and says he's way underpriced, well, the optimizer is going to find that for me, and I'm okay with that. I'm just getting off of the big time studs. So now I've got my list filtered down, right, to just these guys. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is look at my point guards. Who is over a 20% chance to hit 6x? Who is on a positive hot streak, sort of? And who is scheduled to get me more than 25, 26 minutes? Okay, I don't care about the rest, really. So, you can go into all these other numbers if you want to. That's great. This is just what I'm doing right now. So I'm writing down Kyrie Irving, Kemba Walker, and Kendrick Nunn. I'm going to go to shooting guard, and I'm going to write down it's a deeper position tonight of a bunch of similar priced guys or similar ability guys. So price-wise, I might look to pay down. But Smart, Dinwiddie, I need to check minutes on Smart, of course. Dinwiddie, it goes on my list. Powell, Fournier, Robinson, Brown, Harris, etc. Now, before you poo-poo any of those picks, I'll show you where I'm going with this. OG, Harris, whatever. Allen, Jellica, Grant, fine. There is no center on this list. There is no center right now with a 20% chance to hit 6x. Doesn't mean that some won't. Just means there's nobody that consistently is testing that 6x ceiling that is also currently running positive on their 3-game versus 10-game sample that is also scheduled to start, to play 20-some minutes, 26, 27 minutes. Okay? That's all that means. It doesn't mean that I write it off. It just means that I've got this list of guys right now that is set to get bumps in my projections, or at least I'm going to look to bump these guys if it makes sense. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look down these cheat sheets, right? And I'm going to start looking for names to fill in here. They're not full yet, so I'm not going to worry about it. I'm also going to go through our full court press. This is a great article to read. And what we're looking at here is between Detroit and Boston. I'll just run this one with you. Actually, it's the next game. But Andre Drummond, blah, 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 Derrick Rose highlighted the players' names, which is great. Brown and what's his name are secondary options. They've been in pretty good form. So that tells me maybe I want to kind of pay attention to those names. Jason Tatum's all over the map lately. Damn right he is. I don't play Jason Tatum very often because he's too inconsistent. Kemba Walker hasn't been in great form. Well, Kemba Walker was on our list. So I'm going to mark that down as somebody who hasn't been in great form. Even though I showed that he is. 3-game versus 10-game, the research station showed that he's positive, right? Jaylen Brown, Gordon Hayward, pretty similar. Enes Kanter didn't show up on our list, but it doesn't mean that the projections and the optimizer won't put him in a substantial amount of lineups for us. I'm going to scroll down here a little bit. You can look at some of these other plays and whatnot. But now the Brooklyn Nets was interesting because starting with Kyrie Irving, Kyrie came back, wasted no time. Of course, we saw that. If you were like me, you saw that coming, you took a shot on him, figured everybody else would be a little bit scared, you jammed him into a few of your lineups last night, and it paid off for you. These are the types of things that get you away from the herd, that make sense. It's a gamble. We didn't know if he was on a minutes limit or not. I took a chance, it paid off, whatever. It's tough not to like him at this price tag, of course, if he's going to see his full minutes. Now he is on a back-to-back, but this will hurt Spencer Dinwiddie. Dinwiddie at shooting guard was on our list as being positive in 3-game versus 10-game, likely to hit 6x, and getting minutes. Okay, so his minutes are probably not going to be affected, but his usage is clearly affected by the ball hog Kyrie Irving. So what do we think his chances of continuing that 3-game versus 10-game streak are? And what are the chances we think are now that he's going to hit 6x? They were fine a week ago. They're probably not so good anymore. So I'm going to cross him right the hell off my list. Boom, bye Dinwiddie. I'm going to let everybody else read in strict numbers and not knowing game situations. Take that mess. Jared Allen coming off tough game. It's likely to see Al Horford defense. All right. Bye, Jared Allen. I'm going to decrease my exposure to you. Terran Prince, Crystal Levert, make secondary options. Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris have been potentially consistent around, right? So I'm going to read through this article, and I'm going to get into these types of plays. I'm going to cross guys off my list. And then I'm going to come back to the research station, and I'm going to look, or the domination station optimizer, and I'm going to look. Where are these guys coming? We've got projected ownership on these guys now. So who does it really, really like? It likes Troy Brown. It likes him at low ownership. That could be potentially sexy. It likes Ben Simmons well overweight the field. If he's at 35%, we're at 75%. We're double the field on Ben Simmons. That gives you leverage in GPPs. It also makes it very, very risky if Ben Simmons doesn't have a very good night because 75% of your lineups are going to be crap. So you have to be willing to live with that risk. And when these guys become chalky, and we still like them, I'll go overweight on them. And I'll go ahead and just ride the lightning. Coming down here to Levine, same thing. 70%, 26. He can win you a slate. He has to have a hell of a night to do it, but he can win you a slate. Tobias Harris, overweight the field. This is what we're recommending so far. Markkanen, overweight the field. Jokic, overweight the field by a lot. Okay? Now, what I can do is, depending on how comfortable I am with these situations, I can go over or underweight the field. Look, Marcus Smart at 4.4% ownership, roughly 5%. I'm at 32%. If I want to, I can cap him down to, say, 15%. Still be double the field or more, right? I can take LeBron James down to 20%. Kyle Kuzma down to 30%, or down to, well, it says 0.3 because it's, I guess, expecting Davis to play. But even if I've got him at 10%, if the news doesn't come out till late, I might have an advantage there. Horford 32%. If I look at Horford's numbers, he didn't hit my big list of guys that I'm really looking for. Even though, where's Angelica? Did he hit my list? So if Angelica hit my list at being likely to hit 6x, trending positive, and grabbing minutes, he's at 30%. What if I wanted to actually, instead of me at 28%, him like right at the field, what if I wanted to bump that up a little bit, stick him in 50% of my lineups, get some leverage on the guy? Kemba Walker at 21%, same diff. What if I wanted to get some leverage on the guy? Jaylen Brown, James Harden. What if I wanted to come down with James Harden and match the field? Right? 21%, I'm at 20%. This at least keeps him from becoming all of a sudden more. If I bring more value into my lineup, it's going to want to spend the difference on a James Harden. It'll jack his percentage up over the 18% to 20, 25, 30%. I'm capping him. This is how I'm handling things. And I'm going to just go through the whole list like this, and I'm going to think about the whole list like this. Okay? I'm going to come through here, sort by projected ownership on these guys, and I'm just going to start going through point guards. Who's the chalky point guard? Well, Ben Simmons. Do I like that? If I do, I'll keep my percentage, what the domination station is giving me. If I don't, I'll change it. I'm not necessarily changing the percentages or the projections. I'm changing how much I'm going to see the guy. I'm using this number here to identify chalk in the field and then determine, do I want to be overweight or underweight and how much? Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back. I'm going to put probably global exposure on a bigger slate at about 60% on these guys. And if I want to adjust some guys at 70, 80%, I will. If I want to cap them down, at lower numbers, I will. I'm going to cut this down to either 2 uniques or 3 uniques. If I want to keep most of my lineups the same, 2 uniques. If I want to spread it out a little bit, 3 uniques, 50 lineups, and I always put a little randomization in there. Why? Just because nothing works the way we plan it to. And on a 50-point projection, this is going to bounce that number between 45 and 55 points. That's good. 45, it won't take him that much. 55, it'll take him a lot. And I'm just going to play with it. If I wanted to, I could do 15%. I wouldn't recommend going 30, 40, 50% because you're really taking a guy at 50 points and cruising him down into like the 25 range, and that's probably not very likely. So I'm going to keep it manageable. And then I'm going to crank that lineup off again. And I'm going to do it again and again and again. And I'm going to keep playing with these exposures and do it again. Play with the exposures, do it again. Play with the exposures, do it again. I'm going to run position by position and see, is this what I like to see? Is this the general player pool that I like off of what little research I already did and what mostly the projections are feeding me? Because our projections have been very good since January 1st. I'm going to look in here at shooting guard. I'm going to look in here at small forward. I'm going to look in here at power forward. And I'm going to change this again and again and again. I'm going to get this. I'm going to download my 50 lineups, throw them in a dummy contest over on FanDuel, and I'm going to sit and wait. I'm going to wait for the news to break around 5 o'clock. Or so, and I'm going to glue myself back into the NBA rooms at DFSArmy.com, and I'm going to watch those coaches sift through the news and say, this guy's out, this guy gets a minute bump, this guy gets a minute decrease, this guy is, more of an option now, this guy all of a sudden became a core play, and then I'm going to just feed right off of that. I'm going to come in here, I'm going to refresh my projections quite often. When they tell me to refresh them, I'm going to refresh them, and then I'm going to come in here, I'm going to run more lineups. And I'm going to do that for 45 minutes. Why? Because I want to be up to date. And you have to get quick at editing your CSV files and dumping them in to the NBA pool. You need to have your other little CSV or your spreadsheet open in the corner so that you can quickly download the template and then all of a sudden go swip, swap, swap and knock that new 50 set of 50 lineups in there. And this is how you can play NBA for cheap. I mean, nickels, quarters, dollars, whatever it is that you want to play on. You can play pretty darn cheap if you want to. And you can practice learning how to pivot with the news, learning how to take gambles on guys, educated gambles on guys. Oh, he's chalky. I'm going to fade him. Oh, he's really low owned. I'm going to go overweight on him. And massage your player pool based on a couple of things that you see, like who's likely to hit 6x and who's likely to have a good night. And then you just let the projections do the bulk of the heavy lifting for you, but you're putting a unique player pool out there. You're exploiting the herd to a certain degree, and you're differing from what the majority of the lazy button pushers are doing, or the people that don't know how to form their own little process. And this is very simplistic. This process is far less complicated than a lot of other people you'll talk to, but it'll get you started and it'll get you pointed down the right path. And if you want to coach on hockey, golf, massaging processes for all of those sports, there's no better place than DFSArmy.com because we include every sport, every tool, all coaching for one flipping price. We don't outsource our things and say, hey, come try us for 2 months and then in 2 months double the price of your membership because now you have to pay for an optimizer on a set. No, screw that shit. We're keeping your cost low. Why? Because it's the right thing to do. I'd rather put that money in your bankroll than my pocket or another company's pocket. So whatever your situation is, think about it from the advantageous side of learning leverage, learning how to play this game, learning how to beat this game in any sport. Talking to the guys that can do it, that have been doing it. Help them or let them help you set up a process of research and theory that can help you leverage the world in this optimizer-driven era. And there's one place that can do that for you right now, and it's DFSArmy.com. Use that coupon code CHOP, C-H-O-P, trigger that 20% off discount. While you're down there, like and subscribe the video, ring the notification bell, and get these babies dropped to your phone every time that they I guess, upload to YouTube or whatever it is. The information will be down there in the comments section. I hope to see you in the inside. You can still get in here today. It's only 3 o'clock on Central Time, so call it Kansas time. It's only 3 o'clock. You got a couple of hours. You can get in here. You can get uploaded. This didn't take very long. And in 30 minutes, you can be playing NBA tonight with a competitive advantage. Take care, guys. Hope to see you on the inside.